Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about why you should lower your expectations of others. You see, a lot of people have high, sometimes even unrealistic expectations of other people. And the problem with this is it almost always sets you up for failure, for being unhappy because your expectations aren't going to be met. So it's in your best interest to lower your expectations of others, and then something interesting will happen. You'll become pleasantly surprised when people actually go above and beyond for you. That's way better than having too high of expectations and then always being disappointed when people don't live up to them, especially in the cases where you don't communicate your expectations to other people. In romantic situations, you especially should communicate your expectations. Never expect your partner or your romantic interest to be able to read your mind. They can't do that. Nobody can. If we could communicate telepathically, things would be way different in the world. So you have to communicate to them. They can't tell what you're thinking unless you actually tell them. So don't have expectations of your partners and then never communicate it to them. That's going to kill your relationships. So in general, it's just good to lower your expectations of others across the board. You see, another thing here is that people don't actually owe you anything unless they literally have a promise that they made to you that they owe you in that way, or you lent them money and they owe you in that regard. People don't owe you anything otherwise. So you can't expect them to do certain things for you. You can't expect them to go above and beyond for you all the time. So that's another thing a lot of people need to kind of work on. People don't owe you anything. They don't even owe you a specific way of treating you. I know that that can sound a bit harsh, but people don't owe you their kindness, especially if you're not kind to them. So that's why so often you can't even expect kindness of other people. But, I mean, you should still be kind to them in turn, and you'll quite often find that people will return that kindness to you as well. But you just can't expect it from everyone, because yet again, that will set you up for disappointment when you inevitably run into someone who's having a bad day, or someone who's just a mean person who doesn't care about others, and so on and so forth. Now, I wanted to make this video because I actually remembered a funny thing that used to happen to me back in the day. When I was in high school, I've always had a really good memory, so it was easy for me to remember people's names and to remember who they were. But quite often, if I only met somebody once, because of my memory, I'd remember them, and I'd sometimes even remember their name, actually more often than not, but they wouldn't remember me. So it led to a lot of situations where I used to have expectations for people to remember me because I thought people were like me. We tend to have that belief. We believe other people are like us because we only know our frame of reference, and that's how we judge the world. So we assume that everybody sees the world the same way we do. But that's just not the case. So not everyone has the memory that I have, which meant not everyone remembered me. And I remember back then in high school, I used to get offended by it. It would hurt my ego. It would hurt my reputation a bit, because I would think, why can't they remember me? Am I meaningless to them? Do I not stand out? Why can't they remember my name when I can remember them easily? But later on in life, of course, I realized it was just because not everybody has a good memory, and that's okay. So at some point, I dropped that expectation entirely, and now I don't expect people to remember my name when I meet them only one time. I will expect them to remember me after the third time. If they don't remember it by then I'm like, are you just, what's going on? Like, what the heck? Why can't you remember my name after meeting me 3 times? But the first time, I don't do that anymore, because that expectation clearly was not one grounded in reality, and not everybody just will be able to remember your names. I mean, most people can't even remember what they ate for dinner the night before, so how can you expect them to remember your name if you only met them one time? So that's just a funny example. It's actually what made me want to make this video, because I remembered that, and I remembered how my expectations there would make me disappointed. They would make me get hurt, because I would think that people, or that I was a boring person or something. I just couldn't rationalize why people couldn't remember my name until I realized that it was just a memory thing, and that's completely okay. So don't let this happen to you in your own life. Don't become offended or get disappointed by having expectations for other people that just don't always work, that people aren't always able to fulfill or live up to. So in general, just try to lower your expectations a bit across the board. That doesn't mean you should have none per se. I mean, you should want people to treat you pretty well for the most part, but you should just lower your expectations and then become pleasantly surprised when people are actually good people and they go above and beyond what you thought they would bring to the table. So anyway, I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!